Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
You big dummy. Oh, great Odin's raven.
Say hello to my little friend.
I slept in a ditch last night, man. I almost froze my balls off, man.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. What's the problem?
Yeah, David.
Giggity, 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 giggity.
Oh, we know what you fear well without.
I'm the doctor.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
This aggression will not stand, man.
Engage.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pop Culture Cafe. This is season 13, episode 334. I had to double check that, make sure that was right. So, once again, it is the three of us, myself, John Seymour Kuntz / Scott, and Paul, our foreign inter guy. Yeah, I tried to. I was trying to correspond it, but it wasn't coming. So
no, that's what she said.
Yeah, I know. No, but so hello everybody. If you're listening, thank you. And we're just gonna any quick thing before we go, get out of the way. We've been talking before the show, so folks, we just get right into it. And so we're going to start with just a few things. What if just a couple of shows or a couple of things you've been watching since the last time? I mean, we record it once a month. If there's a shitload of stuff we could talk about, but just a quick thing, a few things to hit on. We can talk about other stuff later on. So I'll just start with a couple of. I'll start with. I've been sending Paul messages about old shows, British comedy shows I've been watching, and but. Paul, you must have heard of Columbo.
Oh, I love Columbo.
Okay.
I fucking love Columbo.
Yeah.
Yes, that is one of my all-time favorite TV shows.
So
I would watch that anytime.
Roku has it on there. Roku's that streaming service that you buy. You can deal with different apps and stuff. Well, they have. Apparently, it looks like the whole season, the whole 7th season.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I started watching it because I watch Elsbeth and High Potential, and those shows remind me, well, especially Elsbeth, because it's done the same format. The crime's committed first, she comes in and figures it out. And Columbo, right? He's the original. So I figured I'd give it a shot. I watched the very first episode of Columbo. Now I knew they were part like of a movie series, the Monday night movies or something on ABC or whatever. There'd be Columbo and then Macmillan and Wife and then something else. Can't remember. Anyways, so I don't know if this is from the series or part of special, but I watched the first one, and man, you can really tell how dated it is. But I'm actually going to watch more. I figured I'd watch a few new things before we did the show here, but it was, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's almost some of the stuff you see them doing is just having a hand cut. You expect everybody to have rubber gloves, but they got like tissues in their hand around, stuff like that.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
Picking things up with pencils and that sort of
thing.
Yeah. I don't think they'd invented rubber gloves in the... I think, was it late 60s?
Well, they had them for the surgeons, right? I believe, didn't they?
Yeah.
But
police didn't give a shit about that sort of thing.
No, fuck. They're quick at Resident Evil started up again. Not Resident Evil, Resident Alien. It's on for its 4th season. It started up again. This is one with Alec Tudyk. This time he's on Earth and somehow he can't transform back into his regular alien shape. There's like a chameleon praying mantis that's taken over. So that's picked up again. And then I watched this last night. I'll go stuff that I've watched. I'll talk about it. That's about Murderbot. I've been keeping up with that. That's getting good.
I've not started that yet.
Murderbot, and then I downloaded the audiobooks and listened to those. Because I'm reading a book. I can't stop buying new books, especially when they're on sale. And I bought a new book, and then so I'm listening to the audiobooks, and I'm saying listening. I'm not reading them. So there's a big distinction between people saying, "Well, I had the audiobook, so I read it." I'm very much not against the. You didn't read it, you listened to it, but that's a big fight. And then quickly another Trailer Park Boys Jail. It's 2 seasons, and everybody's in jail apparently in this season.
Right.
So I don't know if you know about Trailer Park Boys, but take a British show that is so local that you're like people who fanboy over it, but no one else in the world knows about it. Really, that's what Trailer Park Boys is. It's a big hit here in Canada and United States. And I watched a movie. I'll talk about that later. Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties with Trailer Park Boys.
Right.
I watched that one. So those are just a few. How about you guys? What have you been catching up on?
Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. Well, I'm going to piggyback off what you were just saying about Elsbeth, because I started watching that since the last time we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know anything about it, but my wife used to watch. Is it the Good Wife she was in, something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think she's a character in that. So she started watching it, and I'd sort of like just passing through, just like casually, sort of catching a few bits and pieces. And I thought, this actually looks quite entertaining. So I sat down and watched one with her, and I immediately thought, this is just like Columbo, because it shows you the murder, shows you who's done it and how they've done it. And then she comes in, and she's a little bit quirky. That's quirkier than Columbo, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But similar thing, she comes in acting like a bit dippy. So that people think, oh yeah, I'm not worried about her because she's clearly an idiot.
Yeah.
But she sort of like works it out pretty much straight away, and then finds the evidence to convict them. And I thought, this is a lot like Columbo. I like this. And so we watched the whole of the first season. We started the second season yesterday, but I've been watching the second season of Pokerface. Now this is the one Ryan Johnson created this. He did the
Onion.
That's the one. Yes, yeah. That's that Knives Out.
Yes.
Thing, and the Onion one. For
Star Wars
Netflix.
too.
Yeah, he did, but yeah, I wasn't going to bring that one up because we all get triggered by it. Yeah, he did. He killed
good
Star
with the bad.
Wars for a considerable period. Well, I was going to say for a period of time. I think it's still dead thanks to Ryan Johnson, motherfucker. But yeah, when Pokerface started, everyone was saying, "Oh, this is the spiritual successor to Columbo." So I was immediately interested. I thought, well, I fucking love Columbo, so I'm going to start watching this. And the way that it's shot, like the title sequences, the aesthetic of it, very, very much like Columbo. And I thought, yeah, he is definitely channeling Columbo. And it's a similar thing, it shows a crime happening and then she comes in and solves it. But it just wasn't the same. Because I don't know whether you've seen Pokerface, but she's got a special ability. No, she just detects lies, and she's infallible. She just automatically knows when somebody's lying, and that's how she works it out, just by sort of, it's like a logic chart. Is that a lie? Yes, no. Is that a lie? No, yes. And then she sort of like just gets to the truth. So there's no skill involved. She's not clever. Now, I don't mean that disrespectful.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Columbo works it out.
Yeah.
He spots the clues and he puts it together. He works it out and he finds the evidence. Whereas the woman in Pokerface literally just stumbles into things that are happening and then stumbles into the truth because she can't not know what the truth is because she automatically detects lies. So it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I started watching the second season and I thought, they've run out of ideas because it's just not, it's not good. And I'm really disappointed.
Oh, okay, because I was going to start watching it.
Yeah, I'm just really disappointed in the second season because I think they're kind of just phoning it in a little bit.
Yeah.
They're just not good. There's nothing clever about it. There's nothing interesting about it. She just stumbles into a situation and then bumbles away through it and then leaves and moves on to the next thing.
Oh,
it's like, it's just not really grabbing me. I'd give the first season a go. Quite like the first season. There was a plot that was running through every episode, and there was like guest stars in it and that sort of thing. And so I'd watch the first one, and you never know, you might want to give the second one a go. But I think the problem is I started watching it at the same time as I started watching Elsbeth, and Elsbeth is a much better Columbo show than Pokerface. So that's
okay.
That's what that's kind of the big things I've been watching and what I think about them. I've actually been watching loads, and I know that you don't want us to spend an awful lot of time talking about each one of them. So, do you want to move on and let Scott? We can revisit it. I've got.
Well, the thing is, we when we do the second show, it's basically we're just gonna do free for all in the second show.
Yeah. It's going to be an absolute carnage on the second show.
Yeah,
I've got so much to talk about.
I mean, we'll see how we're going with here, but okay. What about you? I mean, usually I haven't talked to you on a Wednesday in a while, but we've been hanging out. So what have you been watching?
I've watched a show called Invasion on Prime.
Invasion. Is it an old one?
No, it's actually there's 2 seasons of it on there, and the 3rd season has been greenlit. It's actually new, but it kind of flew under the radar. And I saw it a few times, and I watched the trailer. I'm like, okay, it's basically an alien invasion, so maybe it's just got lost in that storm, but it's incredibly well done, and that's what surprised me about it. It's basically 5 different stories from all over the globe. Some of it's Japan, the Middle East, continental United States, British Columbia, and some of it's subtitled. The stuff from Japan subtitled. Some of it isn't, but the acting across the board is very, very good. I've seen some of the actors before. There's a lady named, I'm gonna butcher her name, Gulshifte Farahani. She plays Anik Melek. She's it shows, I guess, if you wanted to compare it to something, the early days of the zombie outbreak, except that it's an alien invasion, and they go down to, that their lives are just stuff's going on, and all of a sudden this event blows their lives upside down, and it's so well acted, right down to the child actors they have in it, that's what really impressed me right off the bat. Before I forget, there's an actor in here. He plays a soldier positioned in the Middle East. The actor's name is Shamir Anderson, and if they ever decide to recast the Black Panther, that's who they should do.
Yeah,
that's the only actor that I've seen in the last 5 years where I'm thinking, yeah, this guy can pull it off.
You see that stupid little thing around the internet that they've got Ryan Johnson's going to be playing back Black Panther.
Well, basically, what that started from, it was actually Ryan
Johnson or
Gosling.
Not Gosling?
Yeah,
yes,
Ryan Gosling. Yeah,
Ryan
basically
Gosling.
what it started from in the comic, T'Challa has a white son, and he takes his mask off, and it's a white guy.
Yeah,
and people were losing their shit.
And I would imagine so.
Yeah, they're losing their shit. But I mean, it's one of those things that T'Challa took over Daredevil in the comics. So I mean, but it's interesting that they're doing it. But that's kind of what started that they were like making a meme that because it used to be a joke before that Ryan Gosling would do it, and now they're saying he could do it.
Yeah.
But
okay.
With this, there were one small thing that they did. You could tell they didn't have a budget, so they needed to be well written and well acted because they didn't have the CGI to go for it. That's how you cover it with the Jaws effect, I call it, is where you just It's what you don't see that's the fearsome thing.
Yeah.
They got me. In episode 3, they got me because there's a scene taking place. And I'll never forget how I reacted. I was watching at work, and in the right-hand corner, there's movement. And I literally said out loud, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "You fuckers got me."
Yeah.
And that was just in the first season. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where there's something that the director has put in that it's not matter the main thing, but anyone really paying attention is going to see it in the screen and say, "What the hell was that?" And I said it out loud, and I said, "They got me."
Yeah.
So
I can't remember.
Well, I'm into season 2 now, but season 1, it's well written, well directed, well shot. The cinematography is fantastic in it too. What they do spend on the CGI, was done really, really well. And the aliens look like nothing you've ever seen before. You're not going to see something that looks like a predator.
Yeah.
It literally, the alien itself actually looks like what you probably look like. It looks like a disease. That's the best way I can put it.
Oh.
Like something you see under a microscope.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's really well done like that. But as I said, if you're looking for something, an original sci-fi invasion, this is worth it.
Okay.
So that's the type of thing that I'd give a go. But when you started talking about it, like Alien Invasion, when I asked you if it was new or if it was old, I thought you might be talking about the one that Noah Wyle was in. Dr. Carter from that's quite an old one. Falling Skies, that one.
Yeah. Falling Skies, yeah.
And I actually I enjoyed that. I can't remember whether we've ever.
It's in that vein. It's actually in that vein. We have talked about it, but it's actually in that vein where the acting's very good, and they didn't have the huge budget, but they were able to pull it off like that. So yeah, it's kind of in that vein. But
then what else you been watching there? Something quite.
Hawkeye. Now, is this new series you want to talk about right now?
No. Whatever you're watching.
Okay.
You be watching your hand jerk your dick. If that's what you're watching, then that's what you're watching.
Funnily enough, we can talk about it more. Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner. Better than I heard. It was good, not great. You take out episode 2 of that series, the shit with the LARPing and everything, the live action.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You take that episode out, it's very good. Actually, but they made the same mistake they did with Shang-Chi, where they had his story, and then they had 3 other stories taking place within Shang-Chi was a movie, but within the series, and it kind of got it a little diluted. Florence Poe, because it's like 3 years ago, but even then, you could see she was a star back then, and I mean that's brought a lot to that series. There were a few things, and this is something that Susan actually noticed. Haley Stanfield, do you remember in the beginning she's in that basement? It's a bumbling fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 5 days later, and that's the timeline, 5 days later when she's fighting at the end, she's basically a Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even Susan's like, how the hell did she become that good of a fighter in 5 days?
Mm-hmm.
There was some of the dialogue they gave them. It was very Friends and Seinfeld. It was just that banter back and forth that sometimes it really didn't work. Like when they're talking about the boomerang, I don't even remember the boomerang arrows, where Haley Seinfeld was saying, "What about boomerang arrows?" I could just see Seinfeld sitting in a shop with George saying, "What about boomerang arrows? What are you talking about, George?" It was that pattern, and it really didn't work for a series like this, or it sounded a bit hokey sometimes. That was 2 of the main problems I had with it, was that episode 2, and some of the dialogue was a bit hokey. But other than that, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. So,
yeah, I remember enjoying it.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it lent into the Matt Fraction run on Hawkeye a little bit.
That was, some of that was it.
Because, I thought it was good. And that's the problem with a lot of these TV shows and movies, is that all you hear is bad reviews. That's all the internet will give you. Just bad reviews.
Yeah.
And on that note, I've been looking forward to telling you that I've actually seen Kraven the Hunter.
Oh.
I watched it last week, and I thought, I'm not going to tell the guys that I've watched it. I'm going to wait till we're actually recording, then we can come in hot and talk about it.
Well, here's the thing. You were supposed to tell me, Chuckles, then I would have watched it. I was waiting for, because You silly rabbit.
I remember now, yes. You did say that.
It's because I wasn't going to watch it until you were able to get a hold of it. And then I'd watch it so we all go through and talk about it.
We could all talk about it together. Well, I'll tell you what, I won't say too much about it. We won't have a big discussion. But what I will say is, I agree with Scott. This is not a shit film.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say that it's a solid 6 out of 10, if not a 7, to be quite honest. Mm. I think it's actually it's borderline good.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. I was waiting for it to be shit.
Yeah.
And it never actually touched on shit. It touched on kind of ridiculous once or twice. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay.
It made you long for that Sinister Six movie that they had talked about, because there was a lot of fucking talent that would have been in that movie, but such is life.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
we'll
just
halt that there so you watch it, and we'll break it down next time we're talking.
All right. Okay. Okay. So we got that quick little stuff out of the way. Anything? I got to give this more thought. Sometimes you get bored. Movies. So let's do a couple of movie reviews. How's about that? Anybody watch any movie? Not Craven.
But you guys watch The Accountant?
I watched the first one. I haven't watched the second one yet.
So, basically, the first one. The first one, we watched them back to back.
Back to back.
And it was interesting because The Accountant was in 2015 and The Accountant 2 was in 2024. And, of course, in between that was a bit of an upheaval in Hollywood. Accountant number 1, stellar cast, is well written, great storyline. John Berthenol and Ben Affleck had great chemistry on screen. Do you remember much of it, John?
I've watched it a couple times.
Yeah.
I remember it very well. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting when they're talking about autism. They were giving some of the statistics of its rarity then, and it's even more prevalent now, which I just found fascinating, because actually Susan mentioned it when they said it was like 1 in 56. He said it's like 1 in 20 now. It's much higher, which is a bit unnerving, whichever way you look at it. I thought John Lithgow in the first one was a bit wasted. He felt like a generic villain, and with a man with that kind of chops, I expected a bit more. Gunfights rock. It's funny when I'm watching it, I was like, ooh, gunfights. You don't see them as often as you used to. I know it's an older film, but I was thinking, wow, this is really well done.
Yeah.
I did guess the connection between John Berthenol, like when they were showing them as adults, I guess the connection a mile away. I think in the theaters it was going to be, they're brothers. And you put 2 and 2 together, but I put 2 and 2 together like 10 minutes into the film. Ben Affleck, it's funny because when he shot that was during his Justice League days, so he was built like a brick shithouse in that film. And it's one thing I noticed between the first and second is somebody stopped going to the gym in the meantime. But I enjoyed it. Overall, J.K. Simmons, great cast. J.K. Simmons, and also Jeffrey Tabor was in the first one. So it had a really fantastic cast. He was the guy in prison, the guy who mentored Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
So it was really good. The second one, the dating app, there was a thing about dating apps in there. And it's a bit that really doesn't relate to the movie, but it was hilarious the way he set it up, because of course he's an autistic genius and he found a way to manipulate the app. So there is a scene, it's outside of it. Basically there's a scene where they have one of these dating things where you meet up.
Yeah.
And all the women are lined up at his table, but he basically, they sit down and then they realize, holy shit, this guy has no social skills of any kind.
Yeah.
He's analytical, and they're like one by one walking away. And the event organizer said, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Well, da 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 da," and he explained basically how those apps can be manipulated. So if you're a 2, you can get all the ladies just by manipulating the apps to the answers that they want to hear. And I thought that was hilarious. They tried to, I call it Guardians of the Galaxy. They tried to do that too much. They tried to bring that snappy batter that James Gunn had brought to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it wasn't in the first one really. And when they tried to do it too much in this one, it kind of showed through and it kind of wear thin after a while. That was between like basically the entire cast, more John Berthenol and Ben Affleck. John Berthenol's character in this one, especially if you see the first one, was done a few disservices, and I'm thinking that character, that's not something he'd say. That's not the reaction he'd have. There's one section where there's a cat involved, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I could literally see someone in the writer's room saying, let's get him a cat, you know, because I have a cat and I love my cat, so let's get him a cat. It was just, there was some weird stuff like that really didn't work with it. And even it's funny, I when I'm watching this, I know stuff. I don't say anything about it because I'm curious if Sewell knows it. And she looked at me at one point when they were doing part of this, and she's like, that is lame as hell. That character would never react in that way to that situation. So good overall, but the first one was definitely better than the second one. Yeah, I mean, they definitely, there was definitely some new Hollywood sensibilities in the second one that just didn't make sense. But it was good, not great. The first one was great. So that's what I was watching.
I haven't watched it. I keep meaning to, but there's a couple other things I keep meaning to watch, but I keep going back to these older shows and watching them. But I just because I right now I'm just going and finding stuff like I used to, stuff that does want me to watch, like just instead of spending 50 minutes going through all the shows that are on these channels trying to find something. I just kind of listen. I just found it interesting. So I'll talk about that one, Standing on the Shoulders of Kitties, the Trailer Park Boys. This was made a couple of years ago, 2000. I think it was last year, actually.
Last year, 2024. Yeah.
So it takes Bubbles and his band, the Shit Rockers. Get a band together, and he start doing gigs around. And he ends up being hired by a company. No, it's Billy Bob Thornton. He has a band, and he has a guy that heard Bubbles' song on the radio, or probably a video on I remember hearing it right, of the song they did. And so they hired him as a backup band for Billy Bob Thornton on his trip through Europe. And so they end up. It's interesting because Mike Smith is what plays Bubbles, wrote it, and he's the main character. The guys, Ricky and Julian, are there, but they're not in there a whole lot, which is they follow more of Bubbles. And actually, I think it worked pretty good because you always get distracted by Ricky and how stupid he does stuff.
Yeah.
And this is just Bubbles not being all... Bubbles like be a special needs kids if you look at it that way. But he... so they start in Prague, and then they go from Prague, end up in Liverpool at one time. They're walking down... It's really cool. They're walking down the street where the cavern is. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, yeah, I remember that. I'm looking there and I'm looking there. They go into the cavern. But Bubbles asks, this is the greatest rock and roll band ever. And Randy goes, Elvis? Are you fucking... And everywhere they're walking, Randy's got no shirt on, like you use this great big fucking belly sticking out. They end up. So one show they run into Ron Smith, is it, or from Rolling Stones?
Ron Wood.
Ron Wood.
Yeah. Stones.
And Bubbles gets too excited. He pissed himself. Ends up pissing himself, and they're going to go to this party. But he doesn't end up going because he's embarrassed, so he goes back to the hotel to clean his pants and shit. They go to one point in the thing. He sees Billy Bob Thornton out there watching him, and he never expected him to be sitting and watching him. Bubbles gets so excited he pisses himself on stage. He cancels holding the guitar in front of him. Oh, we're done the show. The guy goes, what the fuck are you doing? You're not done the show. Fucking. He pulls away and he pisses himself. There's a big scrumble. He grabs the microphone stand, gets shocked, passes out on the ground, and they're getting him mad. He picks him up. He goes, "Oh my God!" Bubbles pissed and shit himself on stage, and it eventually go through different things. They get kicked off the tour. They're trying to survive in London. Randy says he's gonna fucking suck his way back to help him get back to trailer park, Sunnydale Trailer Park. He ends up in Abbey Roads because Billy Bob Thornton feels sad for Bubbles because he's got a fucking weird thing for cats, but he's a nice kid, right? Yeah. All his songs are about fucking kitties, and so they end up at Abbey Road Studios, and there's a bunch of musicians there, and a couple of guys from Cheap Trick are there. And he plays a song that Billy Bob heard him singing, and he was very impressed with it. It's still about fucking cats, but and the one scene though is I wish his name is more. He played in a lot of the Avengers movies. He played Watson with Cumberbatch when he played.
Frodo or one of the hobbits. Freeman.
Yeah, it's Freeman.
Martin Freeman. Yeah,
Martin Freeman.
That sounds right.
Well, Bubble, Scott, Ricky, and Julian come over to rescue him, and then Ricky sees him and he says, "What's that fucking?" He was black. It was Morgan Freeman. So overall, Martin Freeman, yeah. So it was. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty funny at times. Mike Smith did a real job of writing a really decent, funny script and getting these people in. It was a British Canadian co-production, and if you're a fan of Trailer Park Boys, I recommend it. It was actually a pretty good movie. I mean, they spent probably shit on it and made shit back, but then again, I enjoyed it, plain and simple.
They're like the inbred Doctor Who. They really are. Like Doctor Who, I think English, and Trailer Park is definitely Canadian. But I think I mentioned this before. The first 2 seasons were, 40 minutes from where I grew up, and it's when we saw those characters, we recognized them. Like those hooligans exist in Nova Scotia, but I'm looking forward to watching that. I haven't been able to find it though. To be honest, where did you?
I think it's on Crave.
Crave. Okay, we don't have Crave, but yeah, I was curious how they were going to do without Mr. Leahy, who had passed away there a couple of years ago. I was curious how they were going to do without their main nemesis, their Darth Vader.
He's not even part of the story, right? There's no reason for her to be in this.
But I was wondering how they were going to do that without he was like a main nemesis over 20 years. But I guess they had what's his name with the Randy with the belly.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it was a good outing. I was curious how they were going to pull that off.
Okay. What about you, Paul? Any movies that you want to talk about before we move on to do something really stupid?
Yes, I have. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I've actually got a couple. We went to go and see Ballerina the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So?
It's very good.
Okay.
It's very good. Yeah, I mean, I love the John Wick movies. I absolutely love the John Wick movies. And I was kind of hoping this one was going to be good, but wasn't expecting it to be good. But it really was.
Okay.
It was... it takes a little bit of time to get going, but to be fair, I think people forget that the first John Wick film took a little while to get going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then once he's minor spoiler for quite an old film now that literally everyone in the world has seen, but after his dog dies and he goes on a murderous rampage, it's just nothing but action for the next 3 movies.
Yeah.
And Ballerina's a little bit like that. It sets up the plot, sets up the characters, spends about 15-20 minutes just sort of like getting going, and then it's pretty much just like a John Wick film, where she just goes from scene to scene to scene, just getting into fights, and the action's really good. The set pieces are really good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I thought it was really good. So
No.
I would definitely recommend it.
Okay. Well, I ask because we've had problems with certain actresses because of their physique. We have to really throw away the believability that this person can do this. How did her presence? How did you feel? Did you get any of that, or?
Well, yes, it actually deals with that in the film because at the start, because it starts off with I'll try to avoid spoilers, but to answer your question, there is a section of the film that deals with her while she's still in training, and it shows her sparring with certain guys, and she's getting the shit kicked out of her because they're bigger and stronger than she is. So no matter what she does, she tries to do all the Black Widow stuff, like flipping around and throwing them over, and basically these guys are just sort of like overpowering her. They're just picking her up, smashing her into the ground, smashing her into a wall, smashing her into something. And the instructor says, you can't beat them. You are much smaller and you are much weaker than they are. They said, don't fight like they do. You've got to do it a different way. So she just essentially she tries to be faster and a little bit more wily than they are. So she tries to avoid getting. She can't overpower him. She never does. And so she tries to avoid situations where she has to try to overpower him. So there's a lot of stabbing. There's a lot of sort of like quick fast strikes, that sort of thing. It really plays into her strengths. And you do get. I don't know how much you know about the movie, and I don't want to drop any spoilers. But you do see the difference in the fighting styles between the men and the women.
Yeah.
Because she fights a certain way, and then towards the back end of the film, you see a bloke fighting in a completely different way, and he just overpowers people, just absolutely kicks the shit out of people in a completely different way. It's two different fighting styles, and that's how they address it. So I didn't really have any problems with it.
No, because they did it. Yeah, but I think it's because they didn't take this woman and then suddenly throw her up against 300-pound guys and she's beating the fuck out of them, fighting them. Yeah. And they gave a reason why. No. That would have been so much better. That's so much better than those other movies.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It makes it
really got on board with it.
Yeah, because you believe, okay, this is the style she has to use because she knows she can't beat them. Instead of having the audience suddenly believing this woman made out of a stick and a few can beat these big men. That's the best review you can give me.
Yeah,
because they try to make it as real as possible.
Yeah, because there's one fight scene where she's fighting a bloke, and she does the thing where she sort of like flips herself upside down and wraps her legs around his neck, and like a Hurricane Rana, I think.
Yeah.
And normally you'd expect this little girl to like just flip this massive bloke over onto his back, but she sort of like she spins around, wraps her legs around him, grabs hold of his arm, and he doesn't move, and he just picks her up and just smashes into a table a couple of times. And and so she actively tries to escape when these big fellas are trying to fight her. She's trying to get away constantly until she's in a position where she can actually do something different to actually to fight them. So I think you'll like it.
Okay, it's like it's already had.
You'll be right on board with it.
Oh yeah, it's like 500 miles past those fucking other ones. I like it when they show the woman and they don't think you're fucking. Oh, you're gonna be stupid enough to believe this. They take it and give you. Oh yeah, that's the best review I can get.
Yeah, the poor writer's gonna be assassinated. I mean, my God. The heresy,
he'll be kicked out of Hollywood.
Oh, he's the heresy he's writing. God, we must protect this man at all costs.
Yeah.
There's one bit that is a little bit cheesy. So I'm going to tell you about it now, so that it doesn't. You don't sit there thinking, "Oh, fuck me."
Yeah.
Now, Evanescence do a song for the movie, and it's called "Fight Like a Girl." So, in the movie, one of the instructor women says to her, "You have to fight like a girl," and I think that's tied into the song that Evanescence have done for the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like that line is a bit cheesy. And then when the music plays later, on, you think, "Oh, that's why they said that, because they've got a song that's called that," and I get it, but it's cheesy.
What are you laughing about up there?
Just dark humor. Keep going.
No,
keep going.
fuck. Listen, guys, I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes this show, as much as we enjoy it, there's times when I find it very dry.
Okay. One of the band members from Evanescence, was convicted about 7 years ago of possession of child pornography, and I'm thinking, why don't they just call it "Fight Like a Beto"?
Oh, fuck.
I was like, it was just popped in my head. I'm thinking, oh, that's dark. That's so dark.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, fight like a Beto.
Yeah.
On the inside, fighting for your life, because they would be.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else, but
I know.
Yeah, we'll
I know. I was sitting there saying to myself, "Don't say it. Don't say it." Don't
No, I sometimes this show is just so dry. I wonder how people get through it.
How dare you? How dare you? This is a very informative podcast. No,
I know we're informative, but we just don't seem to have as many giggles that we should in. But that's my opinion. So
back to it. You were talking about? You said that Amy Lee, I think is her name, is the lead singer of Evanescence. Yeah,
I think you're right.
I could see that. I could see where that'd be kind of cheesy, where you're like,
yeah.
They do that sometimes, where they'll put the title of the song in the main dialogue. It's like, okay, I get it. I see the connection. Thanks for letting
just
us know.
so they can play the song, and it's like, okay. And the only other thing that maybe sort of like cringe a little bit, because it's quite early on in the film when they say "fight like a girl," so pretty soon after she ends up kicking the bloke in the bollocks, and it's sort of like, and I thought, is that the direction this film's going? Is she just going to just go around just kicking fellas in the bollocks every time she needs to win a fight? And thankfully she doesn't. That's not what happens. It's just in that scene, that training scene, she does it for once, and that's it. So to get over that hump, get over that fight like a girl, then the kick in the bollocks, and then you don't have to worry about that sort of shit ever again, because the rest of the films, it's very good from that point forwards.
What they could have done with that is they could have done the classic Harrison Ford Indiana Jones thing, where the guy's just doing all the martial arts thing, and she just walks up and kicks him in the nuts. That would have got the pop from wouldn't have been as cheesy. But,
that would have been funny.
Okay.
So I could definitely recommend it.
All right, cool. Okay, so what do we want to do now? How about we do some news, Mr. Newsman? Hey, you got any news, Paul? I usually don't. I've got small stuff.
I don't.
No,
I don't really have news. Because I've got such a massive list of TV and movies to talk about. I didn't bring anything else.
Okay, we saved that for the second one.
All right.
Okay. Well, basically,
I got one. Well, you're kind of rambling. I'll just do my quick one. Sure.
Sure. Go ahead.
That's YouTube. I don't want YouTube. Where is it? I bookmarked a couple things. I forgot about that. I wrote it, or did I write it down? Maybe I wrote it down. Mark Hamill said somewhere that when he was doing the Star Wars with the middle ones, or the last three, whatever they were, where they showed up and he was playing the older Luke Skywalker, and he said it's amazing how over time you start saying things, and again it's the internet, you don't know if it's true or not, but he said I just thought I was playing a different Luke Skywalker. I wasn't playing Luke. I was playing Jake Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's he just, you hear more things, and how he went with it because he was a hired actor to play a part, right?
Yeah.
He didn't agree with it. I don't think he agreed with any of it, really. And he just
There's a lot of people who've said that.
I just, you know what? I'm supposed to be Luke, but actually I'm his brother Jake, and this is how I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. That the more you go on,
people have come forward.
How do you mean by a lot of people? A lot of actors have come out and
There
said
was even bit actors. There was a guy. What did he play in the series? He said, what character was he? I remember he gave an interview. It was like a 30-minute interview where he said, if I had known that this is where the character was going, I would have given a thought to even participating in the project. And he was I can't remember his name now, but he was in those movies, and he said a lot of people I've spoken with had reservations about the direction of it, but many of them A, wanted the work, B, loved the franchise. And I don't know, I think a lot of people, I think Mark Hamill's just the only one who can afford to speak up. So.
Yeah, he said he said somewhere, I'm done. Yeah, I'm not coming back to play Luke again. Yeah, I'm finished. So, which is fine with me, because you can't keep bringing back the old characters as much as we love them. Some of them can't walk into a set without breaking his leg. I'm talking about Harris. He walked into the Millennium Falcon or something and tripped and broke his leg or something like that. But
I had heard he injured himself.
Yeah.
I think this new movie. I think Ryan Gosling is going to be Han Solo's son. I really think that's where they're headed with that new Starfighter.
Well, he fucked around a lot. How can it not happen, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. I think it's going to end up being his son, which would be a nice spin-off. But
Captain Kirk of the Star Wars world.
Yeah, I have more promise for the things, but these last couple of movies, I think 25 years from now, there's not going to be the nostalgia there is for Phantom Menace now. There's not going to be that nostalgia for the last trilogy of movies 25 years from now. It's just.
Oh no! Yeah. I see. We're looking at it wrong. There's people who love those movies. Those are their Star Wars movies. Okay.
The last three?
Yeah. I'm not talking about us old. You keep thinking about. You got to remember, there's a generation that was, 15, 16, 17, 18, or even younger. Those are their movies. You can't use our values on those movies for a different audience.
It's not value, it's disposability. I think in the last 10 years especially, there's a real disposability to stuff that people watch that wasn't around even 25 years ago.
I think that the real difference is that when we were growing up, we had those movies, we weren't sure it was going to come out. We didn't have the constant bombardment of different shows, comics. I mean, Marvel had the comics, but now we only had a very small minority of stuff that we'll look at. Now they're, every time you turn around, they're trying to come up with a new Star Wars story. So the kids don't look at it as the same as, there'll be something new. It's
this disposability. They don't hang on to something as long before the internet.
Yeah.
That fans of that lore did. Now it's like the next big thing's the next weekend. It's kind of out of their, it's out of their.
It's not an event anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, so.
I think there's some truth in that. There's when we were younger, I think people gave more of a shit about legacy. It's like they wanted to be remembered, they wanted to win awards. Whereas now, they're just killing time. Everyone's got a streaming service, and they have to have something on the streaming service to keep people paying for it. And they don't really give a shit as to whether people are going to go back and watch it again. They just need something on there. They just need to have something new. They just need to have someone, even if people hate watching something, they're still watching it. Even if someone is talking shit about it on the internet, they're still talking about it. And people will gravitate to the streaming service. And that's all they care about. They don't actually care whether it's good or not. They don't actually care whether people will go back and watch it again or be talking about it in 10 years' time. It's literally just stocking filler. They're just making content just so they've got something on there. And that's literally all they care about these days.
Okay. A quick side note just popped in my head. I got to ask this, guys. Tomorrow is Father's Day.
Yeah.
Do you guys give a shit about it?
I
know this is a weird question, but it just popped into my head.
Not personally. No,
I'm asking you personally about it. Does it bother you or not? Like,
no, if my kids didn't give me anything at all, then I really wouldn't give a shit. But I'd make sure that I let my dad know that I appreciated him on Father's Day. I don't know how he feels about it.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no reason is because my Harrison, my son, he just tweeted me he's going to take me out for ramen tomorrow. And, honestly, at one point I was thinking, I hope they forget because I forgot.
Well,
I don't care. Basically, I am.
And I'm presented in... Yeah, well, I know, but I'm a stepdad, and stepdads are presented in media in two forms.
Yeah.
Either fucking or killing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many horror films there are with
stepdads. And you're not stepping up to your quota.
Yeah, but I mean, I was like, I actually made a joke of it on Facebook one year. I listed all the stepdad serial killer horror films around. Yeah. There's a lot of them. Yeah. And of course, stepdad in the adult film realm, we're really getting lambasted. So it's true. And I said to Kelsey, I said, it's one of those thankless things, but I don't really think about it. I mean, the great thing is my grandkids got me a little card that is coming in the mail, and that means the world to me. But other than that, it's not a big deal, really.
Yeah. I just popped in my head. So off track. Okay. Let's get this boat back on the road. What was the last time we talked about? I don't remember.
We were talking about Ballerina.
Yeah, and how much you like talk about Star Wars and how.
Yes. Oh, then we went to the Star Wars.
Yes. See, folks, this is what happens when you get old.
All about the Star Wars.
We just started. We were just talking about it, and I went off on a tangent about Father's Day, and we can't fucking remember what we're talking about.
Mark Hamill.
Yes.
Yeah, we're talking about Mark Hamill, not one. Yeah, not agreeing with the direction they went in. Yeah,
to put a bow on that conversation you guys are talking about, I was watching a podcast on comedy where they were saying that comedians now, they're not as much interested in their bits, in the content, as how many views they're getting when they put the videos up on YouTube. And that was two comedians, Tom Segura, and there was another comedian. They're both in their 40s, and they said that's changed. Is comedy's being written for views, not for what kind of reaction I'm going to get. And that's kind of the same as in the movie industry. It's to get likes, but it's not so much to be remembered.
Well, thank you for that Tom Segura segue. I watched that series. I didn't like it. I honestly didn't like it. I watched it, and I just actually didn't. I think I snickered once.
Just out of curiosity, I'm curious what made you giggle. What part made you giggle?
I can't even remember. That's how memorable the show was to me. I understand it sounds like when it's one of those shows you either like it or you hate it. I don't hate it. I just didn't enjoy it. So.
The podcast would have helped. There's a lot of I did notice that when I was watching it. There was a lot of stuff that if you didn't listen to the podcast on a regular basis, it would have gone over your head. But it's a lot of dark humor. I mean, I love the Hitman one. Like, you see hitmen in movies and they're always cool, calm, and calculated. And the first time something goes wrong, he shits his pants, and that to me, the concept of that was hilarious. The cowboy guy was based on Garth Brooks, and they've had an ongoing thing for like 10 years with Garth Brooks, where they've kind of took the piss out of him for basically being a psychopath. They just said this guy's a psychopath, and they kind of set that character up in that vein. But it's an acquired taste. Susan hates him. Every time I bring him up, and I tend to do it when I want to piss her off. I'll bring him up, and I'll say, there's a bit on. She's like, I don't want to hear about Tom Segura. I know why, because he takes the shit out of
everybody.
No, the pleasantly plump.
Oh,
anyway,
right.
These Disney kids, the folks that go and they make, you should have seatbelting. You should have seats on planes that are extra wide for bigger, and he just takes the living piss out of those people. And I said she doesn't like that. And I'm like, but it's comedy. There's you should be able to tell jokes about, especially stuff like that. But some people get offended, and that's okay. That's comedy. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, no, I just thought, I'm watching. I didn't even watch the last episode. Apparently, there was one I didn't miss.
That was the cock one. Going to the gym with the cock. Hey, try some of this. It'll help your workout.
Yeah. So, but I watched it just because you guys said you watched it, so I'd watch it. But gradually, I just had it on and doing other stuff.
It wasn't as good as the stand-up. I will say that. It was not as good as the stand-up. His stand-up is much better. I'm not sure, Paul, if you had a chance to watch any of his stand-up since the last time.
Not yet, no.
Yeah, his stand-up is much better. I will say that. Like, I found his stand-ups better than that. Because it's very specific, and if you hadn't watched the podcast, some of those skits wouldn't have landed. So,
all right. Yeah, we're going to go on to news. Whatever news stuff you got, we'll just go from there.
News.
We'll go for a little bit of news, and then we'll go from.
Okay. Well, this has been out for about a week, but Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, their dates have been moved, which is a shocker to no one because there's no way they were going to get that all done in 1 year. And I'm kind of glad. If it's not ready, don't release it.
Yep.
It was announced that a complete rearranging of their movie calendar that saw 3 untitled movies that were to be coming out in the next 2 years taken off the schedule completely. Now this came out about 2 weeks after Thunderbolts was released in the theaters, and I've got a story on this a little later that it's going to lose money. And
Thunderbolts is going to lose money.
Yeah, Linda, it's going to lose about I had read $71 million.
Does your story about later has to do with Bob Iger and a comment he told them?
No, that wasn't part of it. This is just it's kind of a nuts and bolts story about how much they lost and what they need to gain.
Well, I saw a little clip where they said Bob Iger's basically said to him, we're cutting the budget back on these movies.
Yes,
because we're spending tons of money on these movies and we're not making it back. We're not making anything back.
They have to. They're not even breaking. The last 3 have barely broken even, and they have to. But in this story, there's only one movie, Spider-Man: Brand New Day, as a Marvel film hitting theaters next year. The other ones have been pushed back to 2027. I think Thunderbolt spooked them, and I think Captain America in February. It did about the same amount of business as the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four. And, I think actors should be able to say what they want to say. But I'm not sure if you guys saw that footage of Pedro Pascal giving the nice BJ to the lightsaber thing. Or what's his name saying that this Johnny Storm's not going to be as misogynic and toxic. Or them saying that the Invisible Girls... Yeah, the Invisible Girl is going to be the main character. It's okay. If you want to say it, just wait 3 months. If it's a success, you'll have a bigger audience to say it too. But sometimes I don't think these actors can just stop and think, okay, wait a minute, how's this going to affect the reception of the film? And I don't know. If the Fantastic Four doesn't make at least $500 million, I think you're going to see some rejiggering at Marvel, because that's supposed to be the kickoff of their new universe. And if it makes between $400 and $500 million, Bob Iger's going to say nope, and he's just going to pull the plug on it. I'd be surprised if that's not what happens.
They'll go hire that guy that did Godzilla.
Yeah. They're going to push it. They're pushing forward those dates, though. They're going to be a year back. One, I think, one the summertime and one at Christmas. And they've taken 3 movies off the title. And I think if they keep going in this, they're making between 300 and 400 million. You're gonna see someone pull a plug. I suspect it's after the Fantastic Four. If the Fantastic Four doesn't make at least between 500 and 750 million dollars,
well, what's their budget?
The Fantastic Four budget's actually probably bigger than the Thunderbolts. And Thunderbolts, they needed 425,000 to break even for the Thunderbolts, and I bet Fantastic Four is probably closer to $500 million to break even.
I bet.
And they always say that. They always say the budget was 180. Like I remember hearing when the Thunderbolts in the theaters that it was a $180 million budget, which is incredibly misleading because they haven't added in advertising, they haven't added in the money they have to give to the theaters. But yeah, I would suspect that Fantastic Four needs at least $500 million to break even, and if they don't, you are going to see some stuff scuttled.
I'm disappointed that Thunderbolts didn't make its money back because it deserved to.
It was very good. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah,
it really deserved to make a profit. It deserved to be a lot more successful than it actually was. I think critically, it was successful.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing many bad reviews. It didn't get bombed like certain other movies.
No.
But yeah, what a shame. And I think that's just sort of just generally people's attitude towards Marvel movies these days. I don't think it mattered whether it was good or whether it was bad. I think just people just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
I'm not sure if I talked about it on here, but I have with John privately. There's 4 groups they've lost in the last 10 years. The group that people, when Iron Man came out, if you were in your 50s, chances are you're not going to theaters in your 70s or 80s to watch this movie. The folks who are around from 2012 to 2019, the Fairweather Friends, they've moved on. The people who are legitimately pissed off over the last 5 years of Marvel stuff said, I'm not paying for that in the movie theater. And there was a fourth one that escapes me now, but there's a group of people who have left this franchise, and it's showing in the ticket sales.
Yeah. So there's not. Yeah, they didn't release any estimated budget for it, but the best guess there have been $200 million on the film.
Yeah, so, it's going to need $500 million probably to break even.
It says it has to reach, double that.
Yes.
$425 million to break even.
Yeah.
But they're estimating 60 to 70 million. And I assume that's worldwide, not domestic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it might be good. I
think it might be good. I just don't know whether it's going to have the reach.
No,
the other ones
you didn't let me finish. I think it might be good if it doesn't do well. Then because, as Paul just said, and we said this a couple times. I think it's the interest in these movies are starting to wane because we get so much on the movies, we get TV and everything like that. They were bombarded with the same content, and getting bombarded with the same content constantly, you get bored of it, and you move on to something else, something different. And I also think maybe it'd be a good chance for them to say, okay, we're going to go back making movies. Not going to spend a whole lot. We'll still make these movies. We're not going to spend a whole lot. You have to become more creative at making these movies. You have to, you can't do everything CGI. You might have to do some practical stuff or cut down on it so that we spend, let's say $150 million on a project and we make a good project so we get the money back, not just throw in all these special effects and stuff like that so that, we're leaving people are getting tired of seeing the effects because they're just like, because one time we just loved everything CGI, and now it's you can't please people with the CGI, and it could be fantastic CGI, but they still say, oh, it's shitty. So
it used to be a novelty.
Yeah.
It's people. It was a bit of a novelty. It was something different. I think people were amazed by it if there was a film came out that had really good CGI, and now people are just critical of it. Now, people aren't as amazed by it anymore. They're now looking for the cracks. They're actually looking for the problems just so they can complain about it. That's just the world that we live in now.
Yeah, you said that earlier.
Out of the way to find things to criticize.
Yeah, you don't get clicks when you're happy about it, right?
No, absolutely. No.
Rage bait.
Yeah. So
because everyone's an influencer these days, and I'm really getting annoyed with that.
Oh fuck yeah.
That's so depressing.
It really is the weirdest term. Like if someone had told me 15 years ago it'd be a class of people that just for being assholes on the internet, they would be millionaires in some cases. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what else you got news, man? news.
I got Spaceballs too.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
That big smile. Yeah, bring a smile to your face there, John. Spaceballs too. Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis will return, and then Rick Moranis will command a huge salary for the next Ghostbusters and go back into retirement. I think that's what this is about. The kid. Why not? He raised the kids. He said that's the reason he left Hollywood, to raise the kids. And now he'd like a nice Easter egg, and I'm sure he's going to get paid for this. And he'll do the next Ghostbusters and then retire again. Yeah. So Bill Pullman and Rick Moranis is returning. Mel Brooks will be back as Yogurt.
You see it? Who should? I don't know. I see Mel Brooks, and it's hard to believe he's at his age.
They fucking better make that quick.
I know I didn't want to say that, but I did too. But you see him. And it's like, he should be the first guy in the Simpsons head jars, right? Because his mind is just like that still. He's so fucking. So yeah, I didn't want to say it, but I'm with you, Scott. Please make it quick. Please make it quick.
Who should fill in for John Candy? Is Barf?
I'm not.
Yeah, I think you're right.
No one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do that. You know, I can't think. I don't know if he has a son, but I can't think of anyone. I think Josh Gad actually mentioned that he was going to be in the film, and I'm thinking, oh no, please don't put him in that. I just Josh Gad from Frozen.
Yeah, he's the short guy, glasses.
Yeah, I don't see him in that part, but I think he's part of the film, and I think that's who it's going to be. To be honest, I hope not.
I'm trying to think of an alternative. I can't, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's no one. Ironically, the chubby comedians like that aren't really around, or they don't really want anything to do with that anymore. You know.
I don't know how it's going to play. I think, honestly, as much as I like to see Spaceballs 2, the audience is totally fucking different. Mel Brooks' humor does not suit the current atmosphere of today.
No.
So I don't know how it's going to play.
This, in relation to that, Cobra Kai was an awesome series, right, folks? Fantastic series. Karate Kid Legends came out this weekend, and you heard nothing about it. And I think Spaceballs may go the same route, where people will be hyping it up, and it'll get released, and no one will give it the time of day. And I may be wrong on that. I hope not, but I think that's what's going to happen.
I think part of the reason Cobra Kai was so popular is because there was a lot of people our age who had a huge amount of nostalgia for it, are quite happy to sit at home in a comfy chair and watch it on television. But we do not want to go to the cinema to watch it.
Yes, exactly.
Just can't be asked.
Yeah.
But it's.
Well, I heard another thing saying that one of the reasons they didn't do so well is because we had Lilo and Stitch out competing against it, and then what else was there's another movie.
Well, there's Ballerina, there's Lilo and Stitch, there's America, Tom Cruise's movie still out there. It's got some competition.
I
never even saw a commercial for it. I never even saw a commercial for it on TV, which was interesting. But I didn't know this. Louis Pillman, the guy who played Sentry in the Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah, I know.
That's
his
son. I didn't put the whole time watching the guy, I'm thinking, where have I seen you before? But Louis Pillman's also going to be in the new cast. I'm not sure what part he's going to be playing, but I think it'll play nostalgia. And if they put some marketing behind it, I think it'll have a big first weekend. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, I find myself very rarely going to the movies anymore. I just wait for it to come on streaming.
It
busy
depends
July.
what it is.
Busy July.
Well, I'm going to be going to the cinema a few times in July. I'm going to go.
Fantastic Four. Superman. Jurassic World.
I hope you like it.
I love it.
I think the other reason is because I don't have regular TV. Everything I have is streaming, and I don't have conventional watching this thing. So I'm not bombarded with commercials. about it, reminding me it's here. So I just totally forget and then move on because I'm not constantly reminded of it from my thing. So that's probably why I don't go. Like Ballerina, I knew it was there, but then I suddenly just forget.
Yeah. It did creep up on me. I'd been looking forward to it, but I think it was a week before it came out. I saw a trailer for it. I think we'd been to see Mission Impossible, and a trailer at the start of Mission Impossible was a ballerina, and it said 6th of June. I thought, holy shit, that's next week. So it crept up on me, but I had been looking forward to it. But that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see... I mean, over here in the UK anyway, very, very, very rarely see any movie trailers on television. You just don't see them. The only time you see movie trailers is at the cinema.
Yeah.
And you go into the cinema anyway. So it's very
I see a lot
strange.
of them on X. X does a lot of... the studios do a lot of advertising on X, and like a few of the pop culture sites that I follow, there's a lot of trailers on there. Have either of you seen Sinners?
No.
Not yet, no.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it's very good.
So
didn't
it do something really good, like one of the first original movies?
Yes, that's what the story's about here. Sinners is the highest grossing live action original film at the domestic box office since 2010.
Yeah. And
it's probably going to become before that, because the last one was Inception, which made like $295 million, and Sinners is sitting at $272 million, so it's probably going to pass it, and that year is kind of going to drop back to like 2008, 2007. But it only made $80 million overseas, so a lot of that's been from the domestic box office. I think part of it is the Cruise effect. When Tom Cruise told everyone to go see it, and they had that bro moment at one of the award shows, and they've been supporting each other. I mean, the lead, whose name escapes me at this point in time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh shit, yeah, because he was in Black Panther. He was in Creed. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. He showed up there at Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible. They really worked well together, and I think it was a good... Tom Cruise is just... But they should literally have an idol of him down on the Hollywood walk, because he is... In the last 3 years, he has really done a lot for Hollywood. He helped to get people back in theaters.
Yeah.
They should have a show. He should literally, so once a week for an hour, he should just review movies.
Yeah.
But it's... I think they should start putting more money into independents, both comics and books. How many original stories are there out there that they haven't touched? But again, in the article, a couple articles I read, Mickey 17 original didn't do well at the box office.
Yeah.
There was another one called Black Mask. It didn't do well. People said there is original stuff being done, but no one's willing to touch it. And they kind of alluded to the fact that if Tom Cruise hadn't said you should go see this, it probably would have had probably a $50 to $75 million less than it did.
See, that's the other thing I forgot to mention, because I'm hoping I'm not want it to tank. I just want it to do Fantastic Four, so that suddenly these movies aren't being taken over the theaters. Like they're coming in. Just it. They come in and they take all the screens, and they basically bribe the theaters. You're going to show our movies, and so that we get movies that are in small, independent, or what we call independent, still Hollywood made, but not superhero movies or whatever. Get a chance at the theater. Yeah. But they're not getting a chance at a theater because every studio wants to make that $1 billion box office hit. So,
well, if you make a $50 million film, or even a $30 to $50 million film, getting it in the theaters is next to impossible.
Yeah, I know.
There's a famous video with Matt Damon where he was saying that, if you make a small film, by the time you even get it on the film, if you make a $50 million film, by the time it even reaches the theater's screens, you've already spent $100 million. So you're in a hole before you even have the first showing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think sometimes we just need to go back to, no matter science fiction, whatever, just go back to make a good story. We don't have to blow us away with the big budgets shit.
Yep.
So, what else? So do you want to end now? And that will give us almost an hour or so for the first show.
Yeah.
Because about 30, 40 or so, plus whatever.
Okay.
And then we can come back and we can just whip it out and say whatever we want.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Plus, they'll give it time to give everybody has to take a piss or whatever.
Pish.
And do that. Okay. All right.
All right. Yep.
I just got to go, hey, so should I leave that? I'll just leave that in the end. Fuck the editing.
Are you shutting it down?
So that's what we're talking about, folks. We're gonna shut her down, go do our things, and then we're gonna come back and start episode whatever number, and then
335.
Yeah, that's the one. 335. Yeah, that's right. 335. What comic? What comic? What happened?
The beginning of the Thane actor Black Knight storyline that ended in Avengers 375, 40 issues later.
Oh, yeah.
Classic writing.
Okay.
That's what they tried to do in the Eternals with Cersei and the Black Knight and completely fucked it up. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back. I don't know when you'll be back, but we'll be back in a little bit after a piss and a shit and a giggle. All right.
Okay.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.
That's all, folks.
Thank you. Come again.
Why, you little?